Okay, so you should always read George van Tassel, The Council of Seven Lights PDF from the 1950s. Here we get a clue, although Thoth did say in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth that he time travelled backwards and forwards on Earth. He saw the future, he saw the past, he saw the alien invasion coming in the future, which is in our future still. But let's have a look what George van Tassel wrote from the Council of Seven Lights. Here in blue, the fact that all celestial bodies are conversions to matter of energy in solution in space is evidenced by their different densities. Scientists have assumed that if a rocket could be propelled outside of the Earth's gravity, it would coast on its momentum indefinitely. This is based on the assumption that space is void. If space were void, no system would hold its bodies relative to each other in their orbits. The time field of the Sun establishes a zero field of time relative to the planet's opposition of hemispherical polarities. The opposition of the Earth's polarities relative to the energy charge of its mass is what establishes its position in the solar system. A small planet can be of greater density than a larger one. Its composition of the elements may be such, however, that its charge relative to its mass may be less. The time field of the Earth is at the magnetic equator. At the Earth's surface, it is narrowed down to about the thickness of a razor blade. Surface land is of greater magnetic potential than the oceans. The Earth's magnetic equator, therefore, will be inclined to veer towards the major land masses. Hence, they talk about the time field of the Sun and the time field of the Earth. Well, that's what Thoth said in his Emerald Tablets of Thoth. He said he found the Earth's time field and he was able to move in the movements that allowed him to move in time. And he saw the past, he saw the future. And he even told you where his father's spaceship was buried, in Egypt. And if you go into the book, you can find the location, if you're not daydreaming. I just read it the other day. It was fantastic. And I remember he told you where his father's spaceship was. And it's it'll still work today. And it's full of all sorts of goodies. You know, weapons, systems, and it travels at the speed of light. Oh dear. But anyway, never mind. Fantastic reading. George van Tassel, Council of Seven Lights. Food for thought. Now that we know where the time field is, you can build a time machine. It's not that difficult because it's buried inside the magnetic field. The time field is inside the magnetic field of the Earth at the magnetic equator. Well, that's where that's how you flicking time travel. That's how the time travel through space and stuff. The Sun's time field, the Earth's time field. Every planet with a magnetic field must have a time field. And any magnetic field out in space must be a time field. That's what the Americans said when they wrote that book. Journey to Planet, what is it? In there, the Ebens had to stop their spaceship because there was a time field that they had to go through, because their planet, where they live on their planet, exists backwards in time, they said. It don't live in our time, it's backwards in time from us on their own planet. So they had to wait for this time field to open up or to get into a certain position before they could put their spaceship inside it and travel back in time. That's what he said in that book. But you see, most people don't get it. Most people just think it's rubbish and they missed it. Yeah, pretty simple. Not rocket science. That could be obsolete by 2050.